Hi, good morning. It's nice to see all of you. Sandy Martin, President CEO of Community Table. I want to welcome you and thank you for being here and thank you for all the hard work you do to serve our families. Just give you a little background about myself in terms of how it relates to Community Table. In 1982, we started Community Table, and it was named Arvada Food Bank. And at that time, a group of people from the business community and the church community came together and said, you know, we've got a food insecurity problem and we need to take a look at it. And that was in 1982. And so I was human services director of the city of Arvada, and I would come in the morning in my office, and the parking lot would be full of people that needed food. And that was in 1982. So we got this group together and decided, well, let's see what we can do about that. And honestly, within 4 months, so I had gone to the city and got a little house by City Hall. And then the churches started donating food and getting money, and the businesses. And within 4 months, we had Arvada Food Bank up and running. 4 months. That's pretty awesome when you think about it. But to be honest with you, we thought it would last maybe 5 years. And then we'd have this problem of hunger solved in Arvada. And yeah. And we were very optimistic people, of course. Okay, and then we found out that was not going to happen. And as you all know, we just celebrated our 40th anniversary, and we're nowhere near solving the food insecurity issues that exist not just in this community, our outlying communities, but around the world. So with that, we went from Arvada Food Bank in a little house by City Hall over to the cottages, from the cottages here. The library services in Jefferson County gave the city of Arvada this building. They put out an RFP. They wanted a nonprofit here. Those that were in charge at that time wrote the grant or the RFP, and Arvada Food Bank was awarded the contract. So that's how we got to be Community Table. As the president CEO, it is my responsibility to be in charge of operations. We are under a board of directors that is strictly involved in governance. It's a lot cleaner that way. When the board was able to get into operations, it made it really problematic to try and run this organization on a daily basis because you had this conflicting stuff going on. So the board really worked hard, brought in a consultant, and separated those duties. So I think it's worked out well. It's been an incredible board of directors. There are 7 people on that board now, and I'm not going to go through and read all their names because you don't need to worry about that, but you can certainly look at them in your packets. And then we have 10 staff on board now, and there's an org chart in your packet. And you will see that we've been making some changes, and very happy to do so. We just placed Shannon McDonald into the interim assistance programs manager, and we just hired Kennedy Clark, who is our community engagement coordinator, and we'll be working with James and Rocky to start a program that works exclusively with seniors and those that are homebound, disabled veterans, and they can call in and get a food box, and it will be delivered to them by DoorDash. And I'm sure they're probably going to go into that a lot more for you. It's a great team of staff that get to work with a great team of volunteers. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rocky.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. For those of you that don't know, I think most of you do, but we're doing a video. I'm the Director of Food Programs, Rocky Baldessari. So what I want to touch on first is go over our mission, vision, and values. Does everybody have our mission, vision, and values memorized? No one? Okay, Colleen does. All right, good. So our mission is a community in which people have access to food and resources to foster self-sufficiency, right? So we don't want to just give people food or give people, cards so that they can get food or whatever it may be, so that that's a Band-Aid, right? We want to help people get self-sufficient. We want to help people so that they can have housing or they can get a job or all these different things. So that's why we've expanded so much and had to change our name from Arvada Community Food Bank to Community Tables because of all the other things that we do beyond food, you know? So yeah, that's our mission. And then our vision is we will empower our community by providing tools to lift people from poverty, right? Like I said, we want to lift people from poverty. We want people to be self-sufficient, you know? Sandy said they thought they'd only be around for 5 years, and here we are 40 years later, you know? And one of the things too why we changed the name is because we don't just serve Arvada, right? We love the community of Arvada, and they're super supportive and everything, but we serve all over the place, and we actually have no boundaries anymore. So that's a big thing, is where anybody can come get food or resources that needs them. So our values, okay, these are the ones that are tough. These are the ones that we all have to live by. So the first one is we are compassionate in all relationships, right? That one's easy, right? Compassionate in all relationships. That means you got to be compassionate towards the clients, right? But also your fellow volunteers, the staff. Yep, you have to be compassionate towards me. Yep, Jeff. Yep. Compassion, all right, in all relationships, all right? We honor and respect the dignity of our clients, okay? We'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about Client Choice Program and how we've changed that to honor and respect the dignity of our clients. Also, with our expansion into doing DoorDash and mobile pantries. But it's important that we realize that people come through this door and it's tough for them, right? It's tough to walk in this door and ask for help, you know? And so no matter what you might be thinking in your head, like, oh man, I saw that person pull up in a Mercedes, or I haven't seen that, but you know, it could happen.
Yeah, I've seen it.
There's some nice cars.
During
Yeah.
COVID, I
Yeah.
saw some in
That's true. Yeah. So, you know, people might pull up in a nice car or have a nice purse or whatever it may be, right? We might say, oh, that person doesn't need food. They don't need our services, but we don't know what's going on in their lives, right? It's not easy to walk in this building and ask for help. And so we're not going to judge them for whatever that reason may be, you know? One thing I will say is, you know, a little quick story about that is that we had a person who pulled up in a really nice car. And, you know, a couple of our volunteers were like, man, that's a really nice car for someone who needs help. Well, it turns out they worked at a car rental place and they borrowed that car on their lunch shift to come get food. So you don't know what their situation is, okay? So like I always tell volunteers, you can say it in your head, but you can't say it out loud, right? Colleen knows that one good. So yeah. But you can always come and say it in James's office. So if you don't know where that is, I'll show it to you, but you can always go complain to James. So always, it's always open. So we demonstrate integrity in all matters, right? That one's pretty self-explanatory. You know, one of the things is that we want to make sure all of our clients are getting this food, right? But there is times when we have a ton of produce, as you guys know, and I'll say, go ahead and take some grapefruit home because, you know, we have 1 million of them or oranges or whatever it may be. And so, you know, just if you're going to take food home, remember to ask for it. And the biggest thing is there's a little, what is that? A whiteboard. Thank you, Colleen. See, I'm going to be calling on you all day. There's a whiteboard. Yeah, exactly. Right next to where you sign in, there's a whiteboard and it says on there what items we have a ton of that I need to get rid of, right? Because I'd rather that somebody eat the food than it goes to the trash, right? So we are efficient stewards of all resources. This one is a big reason why, you know, me and James sometimes have it out with our shoppers, all right? Is because we say, oh, this is unlimited. And the shoppers will be like, what? Okay, they can have a couple. And I'm like, no, it's unlimited, right? That means they can have as much as they want. They're like, no, they don't need that much. I'm like, yeah, but we're being efficient stewards of our resources, right? This is taking up space. We need to get rid of it because it's going to go bad. As well as purchasing food, right? When we purchase food, it's expensive, especially like meat, which is why if some of you shoppers have noticed, we've lowered the points on meat. So there's one less point in meat now, but we moved that point to protein too. So you're still getting protein, it's just not in the meat anymore. And that's because we have to be efficient stewards of our resources. Meat is at an all-time high. I'm spending thousands of dollars every month just on meat. And so with that, we have to make sure that we're getting those clients the meat that they need, but also we're not using all of our money for that, you know, because there's other things we need. And so, yeah, that's where we have to figure out what's the most important for us to buy. What's going to be the best use of that money? That's why we have these partnerships in order to make sure we don't have to buy all the food, right? So we value innovation for continual improvement. So with continual improvement, we'll talk about that today. We are expanding programs. You guys heard about our new community engagement coordinator. What does that mean? We'll talk about it, right? We like to make up titles around here, just fun things, We provide exemplary service to the community. That one's pretty self-explanatory, right? We want to provide great service to the community, and that's something we cannot do without you guys. In the org chart, it showed, all the staff, but I don't know if everyone noticed because it might have been quick, but underneath me and Shannon and James was the volunteers, and it said 350 plus volunteers, right? And we can't do it without you guys. It's so important that you guys are here, and because otherwise, James and I would just probably quit because we couldn't do it all. There's way too much going on. So we really appreciate everything you guys do. With that, we're going to turn it over to our first program, which is not food. It is our assistance program. And Shannon is going to talk about all the ways that we help people that are not food-based. So, Shannon.
The overarching is human services that we provide here. So within that, we're assistance programs. We're providing assistance to folks. So what I will be doing is hopefully empowering our clients and giving them the tools to lift themselves from poverty. I'm trying to give them self-sufficiency. So by not handing out all the time, I may say no. That doesn't mean I'm trying to be unkind, but sometimes we have to say no. But we will assist families in need with support and resources that they need to lift themselves out of poverty, such as emergency financial assistance, so providing rent, utilities, deposit help, medical payments, and more. I've not seen medical payments, so that might be interesting. Public benefits application assistance, which is food stamps or SNAP, healthcare, veterans care, disabilities, community resource navigation, which is referrals for housing, which is either over to Lisa at Arvada Housing, or Yvette that does family housing. We do, if you don't know, we have a computer lab back there for folks that if they need to come in, complete a resume, print, job search, look at Facebook, whatever they might need to do back there, they can do that. No appointment is needed. They just need to come during our business hours. And homelessness support to help improve the lives of folks experience homelessness. And we also work with our One Small Step program over at the city on Mondays from 10 to 12. We assist folks seeing where it's pretty much seeing the same clients that come over here. They're just over there, and they go through a supportive program over there. Recovery's there. The housing advocates are over there. We're over there. It's a year-long program that is facilitated by their legal team and the judge, and they determine who graduates from the program, how long the program is, and basically a success would be, one example would be a person that graduated was sheltered for a year. So that's a great success over there. So that's the goal, is to get folks housing and keep them in the housing by jobs, etc. So.
Cool. So with that, we will get into, maybe. There we go. Food programs. Okay. So our first food program is Client Choice. All right. Client Choice is probably the one that you guys are most familiar with, right? That's our shopping area. Clients come in and they can shop. Big operation for there. That's where a lot of our volunteers work in, is Client Choice. So with Client Choice, one of the biggest questions is, where do we get this food from, right? So 85% of the food from Client Choice is donated food. All right. 15% of it is purchased. So that's where it comes in of being efficient stewards of our resources, right? So I think last year we gave out, it was around 1.4, 1.5 million pounds of food. And so out of that, 15% of that is purchased, right? So it's a couple 100,000 pounds of food is purchased at least. That number has fluctuated slightly, right? This last year, especially in the last several months, we purchased a lot of food because we ran out of our Postal Food Drive food, right? Who knows what Postal Food Drive is? Okay, decent amount of people. So I'll talk about that when we talk more about donated food. But when we were running low on food, so I had to purchase a lot of food. So I got like 5 pallets of mixed cans. That's in quotes because it was a lot of black eyed peas. So mixed, yeah. It was mixed, but it wasn't very mixed. So we have to purchase food sometimes, right? So what are the items that we purchase? Our biggest purchase items are eggs. All right, peanut butter, meat. Meat, we used to get meat donated all the time. Rarely do we get meat donated anymore. Almost all of our meat is purchased. So those are big items. Canned fruits, canned meat, all that stuff is purchased, right? And if you're a shopper, then you know that almost all of those items, except peanut butter, is in the first aisle of shopping, okay? So that is why we always shop with our clients down the first aisle. And that's because almost all of our purchase stuff is in that aisle. So we want to just make sure that they're getting the right amount of points of stuff like that, you know? And then if they've been there before, we're like, go for it. You guys got the rest of this, you know? And so, so 15% of our food is purchased. The other 85% is donated. So where does the donated food come from? So we have several different ways that it comes in. One of them is Grocery Rescue. Okay, has anybody heard of Grocery Rescue? Yes? Shannon, you don't count. And so Grocery Rescue is a program that we have through Feeding America. Feeding America is the overarching, they have contracts with all food banks in the United States. And so Feeding America has these contracts with food banks. Now, we are not technically a food bank, right? We're a food pantry. Food Banks is like Food Bank of the Rockies. Okay, Food Bank of the Rockies is a huge organization, and what they do is they have partnerships with people like us. They have over 500 agency partners throughout Colorado and Wyoming. And what they do is they give food to their partners. Okay, so they get a bunch of food. They can purchase food in huge amounts. They have a giant warehouse, and then we get that food from them. So Feeding America has a contract with Food Bank of the Rockies. Food Bank of the Rockies cannot pick up all these grocery stores. Okay, they just can't. They don't have that ability, you know? So they give grocery stores to agencies that are partners with them like us. So right now we pick up Natural Grocers, King Supers, Safeway, Target, Sprouts, Leprino Foods, Fresh Point, Come and Go, Bimbo Bakeries, Einstein's Bagels. All those are places that we pick up food every single week. So our drivers, like Jeff, know that your Tuesdays. Yep, Tuesdays over there. What do you guys pick up? Where? Yeah. Come and Go. Yeah, Come and Go. On Tuesdays. Yep, they pick up Natural Grocers and Come and Go. But we have pickups every single day of the week, except for Saturday. But we actually have a pickup on Sunday too that people come in and do. So, but yeah, we pick up all this food every single week, which is great because we get tons of good stuff for them, right? We get lots of produce, which is awesome. We get way too much bread, which is what it is. Everybody's got bread. So, and then we get some non-perishable items and stuff. We used to get a lot of meat, but again, almost no meat now. It's just they're selling it, you know, and so that's the thing. The stores don't have surplus. They're not purchasing surplus. So they're getting rid of it, the stuff that they buy, you know. And so a lot of the food that we get is from Grocery Rescue. A lot of our produce is from Grocery Rescue, right? Where do we get our non-perishable items, right? So I talked about Postal Food Drive. Postal Food Drive is the biggest food drive of the year. Several people I know were a part of that this year, but it's always the second Saturday in May. Now this year was the first year we've had it in 3 years because of COVID. So our numbers were down, but we were just happy to get as much as we did, right? So in Postal Food Drive, we brought in 65,000 pounds of food in one day, right? In one day. And usually we get around right around 80,000 pounds. So we were pretty happy considering it's been 3 years. The bags usually have the date on them. They did not because we bought them during COVID, not knowing whether or not that we would have it. So we didn't put a date on the bag. So people were putting them out, the week before and the week after. And we still counted all that. But, being that hopefully it's going back up and running to its normal schedule, this next year, we should pick up more food, Well, yep. How does what? Postal? So Postal Food Drive is put on by the post office. It's a yearly event. It's done throughout the entire United States. So every post office in the United States does this. Most places, the food is taken by the post office and then either picked up by their local pantry or their food bank, right? Or taken to a food bank. For us, we have a great relationship with the city of Arvada and the city of Wheat Ridge post office, and we work directly with them to make sure all the food from Wheat Ridge and Arvada comes directly to us. Okay, so a lot of this food usually, and it's not as organized in other places for sure, because we work directly with them and make sure that we have drivers. I mean, we have 30 drivers that go out and pick up routes to help the post office. Because if the post office picked up by themselves 80,000 pounds of food, I don't think they would help us anymore with that. So we get a lot of volunteers to help us with that. All the food is taken to one of 3 locations. So we do it at Indian Tree Post Office because all the food there needs to be sorted. We sort all the food at that location. We sort it at Wheat Ridge Post Office, and then we do it here. So each of those locations, once the food is sorted, boxed up, and put on pallets, we wrap them, and then we go and pick up those pallets from those 2 locations. The location here, we do it in our parking lot. So it's a big operation. We've got multiple tents that we set up. And we have people sorting food as it comes in. We put it into big barrels, and then they sort through all of it, put it into boxes, put it on pallets, wrap it, and then weigh it. And so, yeah. So it's a big operation. We always need help with it. Second Saturday in May. If you know a group that wants to volunteer, that's the only time that they can volunteer, really. Because we always have groups that are like, oh, we want to come in and we want to help and volunteer. I'm like, we have a great volunteers that are here every single week. We really don't need a group to come in, But Postal Food Drive is the day. We need lots of groups because we have lots of lifting, lots of moving parts. So yeah, good question, Debbie. It is a big food drive. And so that food, all the way from May to about October, that's how long that food lasts us, okay? Because it's all non-perishables, right? We're still getting our perishable items from Grocery Rescue and stuff like that. But this is our big non-perishable stuff, And so what happens in October? Well, this year we ran out of food slightly earlier than we're used to. And that's because we only got 65,000 pounds, right? And so we didn't have that extra 15,000 pounds. So we had to purchase a lot of food in October in order to get through that. But then what happens in around November, December time is food drives. This is food drive season. Every school, every church, everyone does a food drive in November and December, And so we have multiple food drives going on during every single week during these months. James coordinates all of our food drives for us, which is great. And then we have a couple volunteers that go and pick them up for us. And so food drives can go anywhere from 200 pounds to 5,000 pounds, which is great. The Boy Scouts in November brought us in 5,000 pounds. The Boy Scouts of America. Luckily, one of our great volunteers, John Beatty, is one of the Scout Masters. And so he tells all the troops to just give us the food because it's like it goes to Food Bank of the Rockies and stuff. But he's like, no, all this stuff from Arvada is coming to us. Food drive food from this season will get us through about February, March, and then once again around April and May we're going to need food again. We've been telling a lot of people if they don't want to do a food drive during this time of year, a great time to do it is March. Because that's when we start running low on food. So we do have, of course, people and, churches and organizations that do food drives for us year round, So we have like Spirit of Christ that they do a food drive every single weekend. So we usually get a couple 100 pounds from them every single week, And then we have just, individuals where we get a ton of food drive food from, But what's great is that we have great donors that support us. And when we don't have food, we have the ability to buy food, which is nice. There's a lot of food pantries that would love to have the resources that we have, in order to purchase food. So where do we purchase this food from? Well, Food Bank of the Rockies is huge. So Food Bank of the Rockies gives us a lot of donated food, but we also purchase food from them. So like I said, they are able to buy truckloads of food at a time, right? I could buy truckloads of food at a time, but then everyone would be mad at me because there wouldn't be anywhere to walk, right? During Postal Food Drive, I line up this with two rows of food, and everyone back here complains. They're like, we can't get to our offices. I'm like, that's fine. That's fine. Get a laptop, work remote. Okay. But yeah, so we buy a lot of food from Food Bank of the Rockies. It's usually much cheaper. So I can get food that if I were to buy, a jar of peanut butter at the store, it's going to cost me less to buy it through Food Bank of the Rockies. I can usually get peanut butter. It depends on what's going on with food at the time, but between 80 cents and $1.20 per peanut butter. It just depends. So what happens when somebody walks into the building and they go to shop? Well, first thing first, they're going to meet our client liaison or a client chaperone, right? Chaperone and liaison. We like to do the French, I guess. I don't have an accent. Okay. So yeah, they meet them and they're going to assist them with filling out an application, making sure they understand how the process works. They're going to fill out an application, sit down, and then they wait for one of our CSVs, which is computer service volunteers or client service volunteers, to check them into the system. Okay. We have a system called Link to Feed. We're in partnership with Food Bank of the Rockies with that. We partner with Food Bank of the Rockies for a lot of things, you'll find out. And that's because they're huge and they have the resources and we get along great, which is good because they help us out with a lot of stuff. But we're partnering with them with Link to Feed. And this is a database that is used by many food pantries all across Colorado. And so what it does is they get this little barcode card. Okay. And that barcode card, all they got to do next time they come in is we scan that barcode card and we can look them up in the system and it just goes straight to them and then we can give them a visit. Okay. Super cool. Well, that barcode card is good at any other facility that uses Link to Feed as well. And more facilities are using it. So we have our own rules as to how many visits each client gets. Each facility is different, right? And so they can go and they can shop here and they could also shop somewhere else, that's just the way it is. And so, but the Link to Feed makes it nice because then it's just one card that they have to hold on to, that they have to keep track of instead of, every agency has their own thing, so that makes it really nice. Well, once they go in and they shop, each client gets a different point card based on the size of their family. So smaller families get less points than larger families, So points are broken up by food categories. So you have your protein 1, which is the meat. Then you have your vegetables, your fruit, your dairy, your protein 2, which is beans and peanut butter, sweets, and carbohydrates. So each of those is broken down based on the food plate system. So you're going to get more points in the proteins and the vegetables than you're going to get in sweets, obviously. So yeah. Real quick. So on average, how many families do we see a month? As Colleen said, too many. So we're seeing 1,224 households is what we saw last month, which is crazy. I mean, during COVID, the numbers have fluctuated a lot. Really weird because there were times when people were hurting, but they were getting those stimulus checks, right? So every time we got a stimulus check, our numbers went down. And every time that ran out, the numbers went up. Every time SNAP benefits went up, our numbers went down, so it was a direct correlation there. Well, SNAP benefits are running out. There's no stimulus check. The inflation is the highest it's been. We're seeing more volunteer clients than we've ever had. So yeah, on average, families walk out of here with 86 pounds of food. Now the dollar value of food fluctuates a lot. So when I first started here, the dollar value of food was like $1.50 something. Okay. It's fluctuated between $1.60 and $1.70 the entire time I've been here. This year, the value of food is now $1.92 per pound. Okay. So that's per pound. So that's the way Feeding America values it. So it went up 30 cents from the last that we saw. I mean, so that's a huge amount. So that means that families are walking out of here with, on average, $165 worth of food, which is great. One more thing I want to touch on. We talked about the seasonality of food drives, so this is last year in February, we received 55,000 pounds worth of food versus December, we received 108,000 pounds worth of food, right? So that shows you the seasonality. I mean, if we did May, May is an outlier because we have postal. That's not fair, but these are, just normal months, and just to show how little food we get in some months versus others. So if you're thinking of when should my friends or family or organizations hold food drives, it's during February, March. Those are big. October, that's the one that we seem to miss out on a lot.
We are going to talk about the Feeding the Future program first. So this is my baby, my bread and butter. Our mission for the Feeding the Future program is to combat child nutrition and child food insecurity for students that are receiving free and reduced lunch during the week. We combat the weekend food insecurity for those children, right? So for those of you who are aware and those who aren't, there are students that apply for free and reduced lunch through school based on income level for the household. Once those students are granted free or reduced lunch, they get breakfast and lunch at either free or reduced rates compared to the other students that have financially solvent households. And those students aren't able to necessarily access those food resources that they get at school on the weekends due to, think of an issue, and it's probably in somebody's household in this area, right? The one I like to think of is single parent household. Mom or dad has to work on the weekends. Older sibling has to take care of younger sibling, right? We're here to provide food for that scenario where older sibling or younger sibling has food that they can access, that they can eat, that's nutritionally valued and calorically dense, right? So we serve 16 schools and Head Start once a week. Head Start's once a month at the elementary level. Anywhere from 400 to 550 is what that says, but it's actually higher than that now. We started this semester at over 800 students per week at the elementary level, and we're down to 650 currently. With Head Start, it's about 150 to 200 sacks per month that they distribute as needed. So we're in like the 1,300 sacks a month range, somewhere in there. Actually, no, 2,400 sacks per month, if my math's correct. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but just quick math there. We also do the Grub Club program for high school students. That's once a month. They get meal or snack boxes. Those are typically McKinney-Vento students or students that have dealt with either foster care, emancipation. They're oftentimes having to hold down full-time jobs while being full-time students at the age of 14 to 18. Right? It's not a good situation, but we try and help where we can. Stevens Elementary, Greg and Jeff deliver for me. They are the two folks, I think, that are involved in the backpack program here currently. But they are our pilot, they were last year our pilot program for the inclusivity model, where instead of opting into the program, you have to opt out, right? We've now extended that model onto Little Elementary here in Arvada because we're seeing an increase in numbers there as well. All of this food is purchased. I mean, we say 95% because there is a portion of Grub Club that is donated, but all of the Feeding Futures food is purchased at a budget of $75,000. I can tell you right now, we're going to go above that budget this year. With the cost of food, sack rate has, or the sack price has skyrocketed. Right, and then when you factor in all the other cost of operations, we're looking at a inflated budget this year, to say the least. We also do snack and pantries for some of our schools that we serve that are further away from our location here. So obviously, Arvada K through 8 next door, we're not going to stock a pantry in that school. We're just going to politely ask them to send their families here. But for Stevens, which is like down on 38th and Reed, or Weber Elementary up in Westminster off of 80th and Kipling area, Club Crest, how far that distance is, we'll definitely stock pantry items, non-perishable items in those schools to allow access for those families when they do go to the schools to pick up their students. We also work with the Gateway to College program. Is anybody familiar with that? No? Okay, cool. I get to talk about it because I'm actually a graduate of the Gateway to College program. So for students like me who get to high school in and struggle, right? Not with the workload, but with the people and with the environment, and become truant, there is an option for you, right? It's not that you're dumb. It's not that the work's too hard. It's just like you don't want to be in high school, right? So Gateway to College offers you an opportunity to go to a college campus and earn your high school diploma there, right? At an accelerated rate, right? Because we're not joking here. College courses are not easy. Compared to high school courses, it's, night and day, so to speak. So the accreditation is at 1 credit per semester instead of 1/2 credit per semester. So you're able to make up your credits at a accelerated rate, so to speak. Personally, I was on set to be 6-year super senior, right? So I would have had to do at least 2 more years in high school to graduate at the traditional route, and I was only 3 semesters behind my actual graduation rate due to the accelerated rate in which I was able to earn credits. And I walked out of there with a full high school diploma, not a GED. So I'm happy to work with that program and provide snacks for those students that are in the introductory cohort. Just getting in, they have a small break room where the students can coerce and get resources and stuff like that, and we provide the food resources. We also work with Arvada Library, Stanley Lake Library for their after-school snack programs. We'll work with base programs. We've got the hub down at Stevens for any of those other items like clothing and school supplies that we get donated that we don't want, but people bring to us. We can send that down to the hub and get it to a resource center that way. Let's see. Oh, and then lastly, I do need to talk about JCEL, which is the Jeffco Summer of Early Learning. It's our 6-week summer program. So Feeding the Future and Grub Club run the 9 months of the school season, right? And then during those 3 months of summer, there is a program that Jeffco offers called JCEL, and we provide weekend nutrition for JCEL. That is more of a Totes for Hope model, so stapled items with frozen and fresh produce, and oftentimes a dairy item like eggs or milk or something like that. We work with Totes of Hope and Food Bank of the Rockies and the Action Center to provide for those schools that are host sites for the JCEL program during the summer. The menu for Feeding the Future, like I mentioned, is purchased. It typically consists of snack-like items, food that children can consume. The packaging is easy for them to access. It requires little to no preparation. The most involved preparation aspect of the menu would be fast mac, literally like pour mac and cheese in a bowl, add water, microwave, right? So thinking of the kindergartners that I'm serving here and understanding that they may or may not have adult supervision, we don't tend to send canned food or any type of staple item out to children, and we firmly believe that it is not the child's responsibility to feed the family. Any questions on any of that? Sweet. I'm glad I covered it all in one shot. We're going to move on to mobile pantry. Cool. Mobile pantry. Is Kennedy here? No? Sweet. Well, Kennedy is going to be my right-hand lady. Is that a thing? I don't know. But right-hand person, right? For making sure that these mobile pantries become more inclusive and that we're expanding in more assistance programs into our mobile pantry. But currently we are serving 4 mobile pantries a month. So that, right, works out to 1 a week pretty much, right? In low income and high risk communities. So it breaks down as follows. We start every month with Mountain Vista, which is a low income, independent senior living facility located off of 48th and Tabor. They are attached to a assisted living and memory care facility, but these folks are strictly independent, so they live in small apartments by themselves, oftentimes on fixed income, with transportation access limited, right? Some of them may require rides, access a ride. Some of them have cars, not most of them do, right? That type of thing. So they get 50 households a month. We serve staples, meat, bread, and heart-healthy produce as they are, on a heart-healthy diet. Most of them do have low sodium requirements. And then 30 to 35 pounds per household, as you'll see across the board. That's pretty consistent. We talked about that being the first Friday. Second Friday of every month is Highlands West. It is the largest, or tallest, I should say, tallest building in Wheat Ridge. It's located off of 38th and Manor, across from Marshall Manor. Yeah, Marshall. That's the street. So yeah, that big red high-rise building there on 38th. That is Highlands West. It is a low-income senior living facility. We serve 70 to 80 households there. Well, actually, it's kind of dipping now down into the high 60s. But Staples Meat and Produce, 30 to 35 pounds. Second Friday, rinse and repeat, right? Arvada House, low-income senior facility, tallest building in Arvada. It's located at 58th and Kipling behind the old Kmart. They are a primarily Eastern European. That's where our Russian delegation comes from, right? So we are doing Staples Meat and culturally responsive produce, right? So corms, bulbs, root vegetables, that type of stuff, right? Beets. I order beets once a month, and it's for Arvada House, right? Yep, love their beets. 30 to 35 pounds, third Saturday. So, and that one's championed by Spirit of Christ and the Knights of Columbus chapter at Spirit of Christ. So they're the ones that go out and distribute that on the third Saturday of the month. And then LA Vado is our fourth mobile pantry of the month. That is on the fourth Friday. It is championed by a group of community members from LA Vado. And they are a low-income mobile home Latinx community. We serve only 30 households there, but they are extended generation families. So, Abuelita living with, the little niños in the same, household, so to speak. So oftentimes those households exceed the 5+ margin of our large category, right? So they get Staples Meat, milk, and culturally responsive produce. Obviously being Latinx, they're going to get peppers, jalapenos, limes, onions, tomatoes when they're not $100 a case like they are now. But obviously, going back to our mission, vision, and values, we have to be responsible and efficient stewards of all of our resources. So even though I know the Latinx community loves those salsa round tomatoes, if they're $88 a case, I cannot justify spending $88 a case for tomatoes. Sorry, but when they come back down to a reasonable price, I'll make sure they make it into your mobile pantry, right? And they get 60 pounds per household due to the increased size of their household. So in those first three mobile pantries, we're talking about single individuals or households of less than 3. For this one, all of the households exceed 5, right? So that's why they get the increased amount of food. And that is the fourth Friday of every month. I will mention our mobile pantry program was piloted in 2015 with Arvada House being the pilot location. And then during COVID, we realized that there was an increase in demand for mobile pantry services because we were seeing a decrease in demand here at our brick and mortar facility, but still getting calls like, hey, can you bring us food? Can you deliver food to our house? So we'll talk about how we're combating that issue and innovating on that moving forward. But this was the starting ground. Let's get into these communities that are high risk and high need and offer them an opportunity to receive food at their doorstep rather than having to come to us. Any questions? Oh, actually, I will mention the small little square that you probably can't see if you're in the third row or further back, but it says that we distribute 5,000 pounds per month to over 200 households just through this one program.
There we go. All right. Yeah, more food programs, right? We have so many food programs and we're adding more. Why? Because Sandy tells us to. That's why. It's all Sandy's fault. So the next program I want to talk about is TFAP and Everyday Eats. So these are both government programs. So they're government assistance programs. TFAP is the Emergency Food Assistance Program. If you're a shopper, client liaison, CSV, warehouse, most people probably know about this. Is the food we get every second Wednesday. So we're getting that food today. We got it already today, and everyone's stocking the shelves. So we had to steal Lumen from doing his job because so he could do orientation. But usually they're stocking the shelves. We get anywhere from 6,000 to 25,000 pounds. It's really variable, all based on the government, what they got for that month. This month was a lot. We got 22,000 pounds this month, just almost 23. And that's a lot. Yes, that's a lot. And it's almost like a good third of it is frozen. Meat and frozen fruit, which is great, but our freezer is only so big. So I'm crossing my fingers that they fit it all. I have no idea. So Mark said, we're going to do our best. And I said, you'll fit it. It'll be fine. So yeah, that's a great program. Everybody knows about this program, though. Everybody knows. So tomorrow and Friday, everyone will be here because we got TFAP. Does it matter that the food's going to last several weeks? No. No, they all want it tomorrow. So anyways, so if you want to see fun, come tomorrow. We're seeing, so in order to qualify for this program, it's a little more difficult than just client choice, where you just walk in, you say you need help, you get 2 visits a month. With TFAP, you have to meet certain eligibility requirements, either based on you already being signed up for a government assistance program, such as SNAP, LEAP, one of those, WIC, or you meet the eligibility requirements based on your income. So there's a chart. For us, it's really easy because we just ask what's your income, your monthly income. We put that in. If you're in a government-assisted program, we put that in, all that into Link to Feed, and it tells us whether you qualify or not. Now, I would say a good 95+% of our clients meet that requirement. So most of our clients are qualified for TFAP. On average, we're seeing 1,100 households per month taking TFAP. So out of 1,200, we're seeing a good amount. So, and of course, some of those 1,200 are duplicates because they get 2 visits a month. So yeah, 1,100 on there. Like I said, we get it the second Wednesday of every month, and it's all variable. Now, one thing about TFAP is if you look in the client choice area, you'll notice that there's the first door, the freezer is TFAP, and the first door of the fridge is TFAP, and the last row of client choice area is TFAP. That's because TFAP food has to be separated from all other food. It has to be counted differently. All of TFAP food has a value to it. So every month we have to do an inventory to count what's left over and send that off to the government so they can see how much we have left. So that is a very, very different from how we do food. We don't care. I mean, we do get weights obviously on TFAP, but that's not what's important. It's really the count because they multiply that by the value of that food. So Everyday Eats is another government program. It used to be called CSFP. CSFP stands for Commodity Supplemental Food Program. So what is it? What did I tell you? Commodity Supplemental Food Program. What does that mean? Tell me. You don't know because it's dumb. It's a terrible name. Anyways, do not edit that out, Bobby. I want everyone to know. So I complained about that name for the last 6 years, and they finally changed it. What did they change it to? They changed it to Evergreen Box. What does that tell you? Absolutely nothing. Yes. What is this program? Then they changed it to Everyday Eats. What does that tell you? I'm assuming it's food, but it tells you nothing. What it is for age 60 and above clients. Okay, so that meets high eligibility requirements. Why it's called Everyday Eats, why it's called Evergreen Box, I have no idea. I recommended some names. They didn't take any of them. So it is for 60 and above clients. You have to meet certain eligibility requirements. It is actually one of the stringiest I'm just going to say hardest. One of the hardest programs to qualify for out of all of our food programs. We are just a host site for this program. So on the 3rd Wednesday of the month, next Wednesday, Food Bank of the Rockies will set up their truck outside and they'll distribute. And you'll see a line of cars that starts at 9 a.m. of people, they do a drive-through now. They used to come into the building and sign up, but now they just do a drive-through. COVID and, never go back. I guess they think it's easier. Although it does block our entire driveway. So that's wonderful. Do more and more fresh foods with it, which is great. It used to be a box of staple foods and a block of government cheese. Now it's a box of staple foods, bag of produce, bread. They got all kinds of stuff. So it's a cool program. But you do have to meet strict, that's the word, strict eligibility requirements. So now we're going to talk about this new program that we're adding. So we asked for a grant from the county of Jefferson County. This is what happens when you talk too much. I have a full day ahead of me. So so Jefferson County put out this grant that we could all apply for, and we asked for them to fund our program where we would help homebound seniors, and they said no. So we don't care. We're going to do it anyways because that's what we do. So senior and homebound box delivery. So this is what Kennedy will also be heading up. So that's what a community engagement coordinator. She's going to help out with getting people signed up for this program. So what it is right now we're currently partnering with Food Bank of the Rockies through Lutheran Hospital to deliver food to homebound patients that have been sent home after their hospital stay. So if they're stuck at home and they can't get food, we send food to them every week through Food Bank of the Rockies and Lutheran Hospital. That program is growing. It started off with 2. In the last couple of weeks, we're up to 11 families now that we're delivering food to. We're also doing that, helping out with Evergreen box delivery. So the Evergreen box I just talked about, CSFP, Everyday Eats, whatever the heck it's called, that is being delivered as well. And all this is being done through DoorDash. So they have this nonprofit called Project Dash. In Project Dash, you can sign up, and it's just a simple spreadsheet. You put in the person, their address, how many boxes they're getting, and you tell them what day to come pick it up, and they'll come pick it up and deliver it to them for you. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have Project Dash deliver these boxes for us, because the logistics of delivering the boxes, working with the organizations, the buildings and all that stuff, it's a pain, right? So what we're gonna do is Project Dash will deliver that food to people's doorsteps. So then all we gotta do is get the information, find out, where they live. And so we're piloting this with Mountain Terrace, which some reason didn't make it on here, but I'm letting you know. So Mountain Terrace is a low-income family community. It's an apartment complex with 152 residents off 84th and Lowell, okay? It's right across from Bellevue School, if you know where that is. And so it's a low-income, very excited community. They have a new resident services department that's trying to they have a community room there, and they're trying to make it for information and stuff like that, health fairs and stuff. So we're going to partner with them to try and get all this information out, to do health fairs and get them signed up for, government assistance programs, get them signed up for Medicaid, all that kinds of stuff, as well as pilot the Project Dash to see how it works. If the Project Dash works great with them, then we'll be doing this with homebound seniors, and they can call directly here, and we can get them delivered a box. For right now, the plan is to deliver boxes once a month to each individual resident. Depending on how many people we have sign up, we're not going to be making 150 extra boxes every, in 1 week. So the plan is to split this up between the 4 weeks. Say certain households get it 1 week, the next households get it the other week, and split it up that way. So we're still working on the logistics of all this, but it seems like a really cool program. And it's going to be exciting. We're going to be able to deliver to people that can't get here, because we're finding out more and more. We survey our clients, at least once a year, and we're finding out more and more the difficulties that they're facing now is transportation. There's a lot of problems with either they don't have cars, they're too far away. The bus, they can't get tickets for the bus, or the bus doesn't, it's going to take them hours to get here on the bus. So the DoorDash system works in a 10-mile radius. So anywhere within 10 miles of us, we can deliver to through DoorDash. So, and the idea is if we pilot this here and it works out great, we can work with other food pantries and they can do it too, so.
Okay, so real quick, just go over a few of the, if you will, host programs. We don't actually place volunteers with these folks. We're just a host site. The screen is hiding it, but the medical clinic is back here. We reopened the medical clinic. We had a free clinic a few weeks ago, last month. I think it was October now, where we opened it back up. We gave folks flu shots. We saw, I think, blood pressure, some diabetes checks. They can do med checks. They can do general care. Its physician's assistants are supervised by a medical doctor. We're looking in the future to maybe partner with Lutheran where we can offer services throughout the week as opposed to maybe a Saturday. Red Rocks can only offer us Saturdays because their PAs are in school. So that would be a really cool thing to bring in here if we can do that. If you work on Fridays, you know we have Bayard laundry truck that comes. It started laundry and shower. Shower broke down. We just had laundry. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I've been told we will have showers on Friday. We'll see. They come from 9 to 3, depending on the weather. It has to be above 32 degrees. So we got some restrictions there, but hopefully we do get showers. People have been calling. So hopefully we have partnered as well with No Smile Left Behind. They come the third Wednesday of the month and they hang out all day. They're here 8 to 5. We do have a sign up Genius for them where folks can sign up there or at the client service liaison desk, and they will provide care for those that have Medicaid or private insurance. They will do pro bono, depending, and as I've been told, they'll do well-behaved kids. Take that for what it's worth. We also have partnered with DMV to Go. They come the third Friday of each month, and that is open to the general public, all persons. Anybody can go in there if they need their driver's license renewed at any time. Folks that don't have money, we have gotten vouchers from Colorado Legal Works that they can use. They send those over to me. I give them to the DMV to Go. They give it back to me, and I send it back over there. So that is the third Friday of each month for folks.
So Kelly Walker is our new accountant. She is incredible, and we are lucky to have her. She does accounts payable. She does the budget every year. We do bank deposits, which is really crazy right now. It's Christmas time, so we have hundreds of checks coming in every day. So that's really taking up a lot of her time. She is not part-time at this moment because she has so many deposits. Luckily, Bernadette's helping her a little bit out with that. Payroll. So payroll is really important for us staff. We really enjoy that. Donor database. She helps maintain that with Leanne. And then she does all of our insurance stuff like that. If you have questions about, so one thing I'll point out real quick is that 87.7% of all of donations that we get goes directly to serving our clients, goes directly to our programs. So we are a 4-star Navigator charity, and we have really high ratings because of the way that we utilize our money. If you have any questions about financials, you can go to cotable.org/about/financials, or just look on our website, and you can find all of our financial information about that. We're very transparent. We are a nonprofit, so we need to be. So.
So I'm Leanne Cadman, and I manage our communications and our resource development. So actually, you all make my job so much easier, because if we had to raise all the money from all the work that you do, there's just no way. But because of all the great work you do, it's pretty easy to raise money around here. We are very fortunate, and we're fortunate to have such great partners like the City of Arvada, who gives us this building free. Wheat Ridge is great to us. Westminster, all the local governments, churches, and stuff. So mostly, a lot of food comes in for food, or money comes in for food, but we also need, of course, to pay salaries, utilities, and to purchase food to kind of round out our nutritional mix. So that all comes from, majority of it, in-kind food donations, individual donations, grants, corporate sponsorships, government, churches, service organizations. But what's really great about this organization is we have a great mix here. In fundraising, it's like a pyramid, and you want the bottom of it to be individuals. And we've got that covered. Individuals will continue to support us year after year, unlike government, who changes their minds and does different things all the time. You can't necessarily count on them. A lot of the foundations, too, especially if they're corporate foundations, will change what they support. from one year to the next. You can't count on that, but we've got great individual support. And one of the things that we try and do here is really communicate what we do, because that brings in even more money. So hopefully, how many of you get our newsletters, email newsletters? Well, hopefully all of you get them. If you're not, please try and sign up for them, because I do communicate lots. We used to there was a volunteer newsletter, but it was kind of repetitive with what else we were doing. So a lot of the information about new programs, new stuff will be in the newsletters. And we do once a month, and right around the first of the month. If you've by chance opt out of our emails or text messages, please see me or Rocky or Shannon. We'll see if we can get you back in. Even though you might not want to read everything that we send you, please don't opt out, because it's virtually impossible to get you back in. Wherever you get your email, they'll know you opted out. And even if you try and get back in, they will say, you said you didn't want to see anything from Community Table, so I'm not going to send it to you. So please, if you haven't, we text message and we email both. And that's a great way to get information. Besides the other things I talked about, how we get money in here, it's third-party events. So we just had one. Anybody attend Empty Bowls at Arvada High School? A couple people did. That's a great fundraiser for us every year. So when we say third-party fundraiser, that means the organization is doing it on our behalf, which is having this job. I love third-party fundraisers, because all I got to do is tell you about it and hopefully try and get you there. But that fundraiser, before the pandemic, we probably got $5,000 or $6,000 every year from that one event at Arvada High School. And plus, it's a great event to support the kids in our community and stuff too, not just hunger. So, and I do try and put all those things out there. Rhinelander does a whole month for us in September. Balefire Goods, which is a jewelry store in Old Town, usually picks us for a quarter to be their charity of the quarter. Pause and Play just did their annual Halloween pet contest. And so all those things add up to bringing money in here. And that's what we need. Just had a very successful Colorado Gives Day. We got a little over $100,000, which blows me away every single year. And one of the nice things this year, all of you know that we're doing the 25 by 25 food drive. One of the nice things that came out of that, we ended up getting on Kyle Clark's Next. Is that what it's called? Next? Yeah. And that originally we were supposed to be on there before before Colorado Gives Day, but there was the shooting in Colorado Springs and the election. So we got pushed to starting the Wednesday after Colorado Gives Day, but we got another almost 23,000 from that. So all of those things kind of come into the mix. How many of you have registered your King Soopers card with us? Please do so. It's super easy to do. I send directions to it all the time. And once you register it, all you have to do is use it. And if not, the money's not coming from you, it's coming from King Soopers. And since we started doing that in the fall of 2019, we've raised $23,000 from that. And virtually, I do nothing besides try and get people to register for it. And then King Soopers just sends us a check every quarter. We also are on Amazon Smile, and we also have Amazon Wish List. And we're going to be adding a few new things to the wish list. Shannon's asked us to add sleeping bags, I think socks, blankets, some of that kind of stuff too. So some people like to shop, and that's a great way to support us that way too. I think I already heard Rocky probably mention this. But this organization too, again, because of all the great work that's been done here over 40 years and how well we manage our money and how hard everybody works here, we have some of the highest ratings for a nonprofit. Our Charity Navigator rating is like 96%. You can't get much better than that. And so we have really high ratings on GuideStar, Charity Navigator. We're also an accredited charity on the Better Business Bureau. And all of this really, we make sure we have all this stuff in place because I mean, there's so much fraud and people don't know where the money's doing. So we're trying to ensure them of all the good work that we do here and that the vast majority of the money we raise and the work we do goes right to the community. We continue to win lots of awards and stuff too. One of the other things I try and do, all these programs that were talked about this morning, kind of starting out in my area, we work to make these partnerships. You know, I'm always talking to Lutheran and all these different people and trying to look for things, gaps in our services. That's really where the senior program kind of came from. We were all getting a little tired of everything being directed to certain populations and certain ages. And one of the biggest groups we have here in Jefferson County, which I am one too, because I'm 61, our seniors are older adults, and we've got to do more for them because they are a very silent group, mostly or almost ignored, I think, sometimes, which is unfortunate. So that's one of the things we really want to try doing this for too. So I think it's going to be a great program. We wish Jefferson County would have given us all the money, but we'll do it anyways. A couple other things that have turned out to be really great. You probably have all noticed, like Cooking Matters in here, doing the food demos, and we do a cooking class on Saturdays. The idea behind that is trying to get folks to understand they can cook really good food with what they get here. Teach them how to substitute. And the nice thing, if they come to those classes on Saturday, they get a $10 gift card for grocery stores. So if you're talking to your folks shopping or whatever, make sure they know about those things, because like everybody else, they're being bombarded with information and they may not know we're doing this. And we've got a real good group that comes to that. We have about 20 people who come all the time. And I learn something every time I listen to them too. So let's see what else. We are getting a new website. I keep saying that, but we really are getting a new website. We did get a grant for this, but it's kind of one of those things we are so busy here all the time trying to get all this stuff done. But I'm hoping now for sure we're going to try and launch it by the end of January. And that should be also, you all will be able to use that site's going to be a lot more interactive and is really going to make it a lot easier. So you may find that you go there to do certain things. I'm not sure how we'll set up all the volunteer things. What else? We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We often are in the Arvada Report. We get in the e-news. Wheat Ridge is doing a lot more for us in that area too. And, well, just a couple other things. A lot of the publications, I show this because no one ever reads it. So we do an annual report every year, and I guess I'm going to have to do a good job or do a better job of getting it out there. But I think we're going to try and change the format, shorten it up a little bit. But this is kind of a nice record for us, what we've done, during the past year or two. So I think that's kind of it. So really anything that has to do with communication or with developing resources to support the organization. Bobby, who's filming this right now, is kind of my second hand. He's been helping out in the warehouse too, but we're kind of reorganized. So you may see him doing less of that and more of some of this other stuff. So anyway, I think that's about it, unless anybody has any questions.
Are volunteers allowed to put stuff on Instagram or Facebook? Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, that's great. Yeah. Do be kind of cautious of that. And actually, gosh, if you guys have something good going on out there, please snap a picture of it. If you get somebody's face in it, we probably need, and they can be recognized. We do have photo releases. You could see me or Bobby for that if you need one. But we would love to get some fresh pictures because we're always stuck back here and you guys are where all the action is happening. And two, if somebody's telling you a great story or something, let us know too, because I love to be able to communicate that kind of stuff. It really does help in fundraising, really to be able to tell those kind of success stories. It's great to tell people the number of people in need, but if that's all we ever do, people kind of are like, you're always, you never have any good news for us. So we do really try and put that stuff out there. And I'd love to have more stories about that. But no, you're welcome to share it. Please share our posts. Encourage people to sign up. our social media is a little tricky because we're talking to two different groups of people all the time. So you may see not everything applies to you because we're putting stuff out there for the families that we help. So we kind of have to have a mix of that in our social media because we're trying to communicate with two very different groups. So anyway, thank you all again. Any other questions or nope? Thank you for all your hard work. You make my job so much easier, and I really appreciate it. Mhm.
My name is Bernadette Velasquez. I have been here going on 7 years. It'll be 8 in a couple of months. And this is a great organization to work for. I just love working with everyone here. My office is located just near the warehouse. And some of the duties that I have is I do the audits to the link to feed applications. So I make sure that everything that our CSVs are putting into the system is correct, especially with a lot of our foreign language, Spanish foreign language. We can always, sometimes names and addresses and things get switched. So my main job there is just to make sure everything is correct and we have the right data. I also serve the board of directors by taking their board minutes. I attend the meetings, and I do office administration, which is anything from answering the phones, opening the mail, receiving packages, speaking to individuals on the phone, directing their calls where they need to be. Oh, well, there it is. All calls come to me. They sure do. and some. So that's what I do. I'm try to answer everybody's questions the best that I can. And I try to keep this office in order when I can. Yeah. So you have any questions for me, or would you like to know any other information about the organization, staff, programs that I can help you with? No? Okay. Well, I guess that's it then. Well, thank you for all being here, and Feliz Navidad. Thank you.
Slips, trips, and falls are the number one risk of injury in any warehouse environment. We talk about the proper lifting, the 7 steps to proper lifting, workplace hazards associated with what we do here at the pantry, particularly with our warehousing operation and our driving operation as well. Obviously, there's a lot of hazards there. We talk about refrigeration and freezer storage, as it is a critical capacity of what we do here, as well as dry and rack storage. And then we touch on foodborne illness because it is an aspect of control and an aspect of food safety that we have to adhere to by Food Bank of the Rockies standards, right? I have to go through civil rights training and food safety training yearly. So this is my way of passing that knowledge on to you guys. So Safety Week is the first week of every month. We also, in this process of implementing a safety program for volunteers, instituted a new emergency procedure manual for all of our different ways that we could end up in a very dangerous situation here, from fire to active shooter to bomb threat to you name it, right? Power outage, right? Some of them not so scary, some of them very, very scary, right? So we had to go through and make sure that our fire escape plan was up to date, that our emergency procedures manual had been updated and approved by the board. And we were able to get all that done March of last year. So we are going to be revisiting that here in the next couple of months to make sure that nothing has changed in the last year.
So what I need from y'all is the resources. You can go to the website. If you're a newer volunteer, you've probably already completed, have the new handbook with the signature page. If you haven't been to a volunteer orientation or it's been a while, please leave me that receipt. Fill out the evaluation, please, and thank you. We have our email contacts on the next slide, but that's fine. Closure information is important now that it's inclement weather. We will send out an email. It'll be on the website and run on the news. We do follow Jefferson County, so if they're on a 2-hour delay, we are. If they're closed, we are. And then volunteer opportunities here. If you're interested in cross-training, I welcome that. Just let me know. And last but not least, whoops, we're going the wrong way. Everyone's contact information is on the website as well. One other comment I want to make, starting on Friday through next Thursday, we're volunteer holiday Christmas party mode. So once again, we'll have snacks and all those goodies for you to come in and enjoy and hang out together. So that starts this Friday, going through next Thursday. So look for that. And thank you again for coming. We appreciate all of your time. And that's it. Thanks.
My baby.